Morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining us today. I am Kenneth. I'm head of marketing in Shopee Malaysia. Today, we'll talk about winning over Malaysian value-based consumers with Shopee. We'll focus the conversations a lot more around what we see from our consumers, from our buyers, but also touch on our sellers as well as part of the ecosystem that we function in. As mentioned by Ms. Pang as well earlier, that we are a platform. And I'll maybe just spend a minute or so to just introduce Shopee a bit quickly. Go to the next slide. So we are an app that's present in 8 countries, mainly in Southeast Asia, also in Brazil. Within Malaysia, we have actually managed to win the #1 strongest brand award from YouGov Global Best Brand Ranking for the past 3 years. Also Best General Retailer and Lifestyle App at the Kantar Awards last year. So we essentially understand that our position in Malaysia as a platform does go far and wide. So within our position in the community that we serve, we have responsibilities to better serve them, to also better provide services to all the demographics that we are serving, right? So on that point, if we go to the next slide, I want to focus a bit more today on value-based shopping, right? What we believe is what we are already seeing today, and will continue to be a trend moving to the near-term future of e-commerce, right? So the understanding that we have on what value-based shopping essentially is to view from the consumer's angle first and foremost what matters to them. And if you think about it, in previous or in the more traditional sales and marketing function that we used to do, it tends to be more formulaic. It tends to be, you have the right assortment, with the right pricing, you have the right exposure, it should work, right? It was like that for a long time, and I think the fundamentals is still there, but with the growth of younger buyers as well, with the growth of Gen Z buyers, their values also come strongly into play on how they make their decision making in terms of their purchasing, right? Whether they resonate with the brand, whether they support the brand, right? Whether there's any connotation linked to the brand itself does affect their purchasing behavior quite significantly, actually. So on that, we as a platform, we are a marketplace, right? So we try to be essentially an enabler for a lot of our brands, all our sellers to connect with their consumers best they can, right? To build more loyalties, to build deeper connections, and also to essentially help brands and sellers capitalize on the traffic that we do get on our platform. Now to do that, our platform itself, Shopee's branding, needs to be very close to our consumers. So we always understand ourselves as a mass market brand. We have to be very relatable. We have to be very localized. That's why we are present in 8 markets, but every country is very is managed and operated in a very localized way, because we know what works in Malaysia may not work in Thailand, and may definitely not work in Brazil, for example. And we can learn from each other a bit, but hyper-localization remains a really strong pillar of how we run our business. We go to the next slide. And maybe I'll just share a few things here, right? So as I've mentioned as well, we believe in uplifting our underserved communities through technology, right, essentially. And we want to build more trust with shoppers who are deliberately shopping with purpose. Okay? And their purchasing criteria, shopping experiences, the online engagement that unite buyers and sellers tends to be rooted in universal values that are shaping our common realities, common futures, right? That everyone is actually part of in the digital age. We are more connected than ever. And we see last year, Shopee's marketplace, we've managed to upskill and integrated over 250,000 new sellers onto our platform as part of our digital inclusion initiative. And we actually saw more than 145 new sellers who record over 500,000 ringgit in sales in their first 12 months online. And we want to do even more to empower our sellers to achieve online success and build a sustainable future for themselves. And that comes back to value-based marketing as well, and how do we help our sellers grow from that angle. And to understand that particularly, more importantly, is to understand the changing demography of buyers, which are getting younger, as I've mentioned, and a lot more purposeful, and a lot more value-based, right? So the appeal that the brands have to bring to Malaysians have to resonate very closely to local values. And in fact, we cannot just think Malaysia as an entire homogeneous block, as well. Where you see different states, different regions, different age groups, and different backgrounds, different social economic standings would have different preferences. And some may be interesting or a bit counterintuitive. For example, I'll just give a quick example. In our survey, you would believe that B40 people are more price sensitive intuitively. You would think that B40 is a lot more important. The price point and shipping fees, for example, matters a lot more to the B40 community. In our data and our survey, it was actually the other way around. Right, rightly or wrongly so. The T20 are a lot more price sensitive. Now, there's many factors to it. I think we can catch up separately on that, right? And if you look at why, it actually makes sense. Yeah, it actually makes sense. I can elaborate a bit more on that separately. But you see, sometimes what's intuitive to us may not be true. And sometimes we need to go deeper into the data to understand what's actually happening. We go to the next slide. So a few months ago, Shopee launched our 2023 Consumer Trends Report. We surveyed more than 2,000 Malaysian buyers, and we actually found three main e-commerce trends that's driving resilience and relevance to that. So found at the start of the year that 60% of buyers actually felt excited about achieving their personal ambitions and enjoyment on e-commerce. So trend one, so Malaysians are becoming more tech savvy and increase their uses of digital services, a bit no surprise there. But when we ask what their personal ambitions are when they shop online, it's 35% who wants to prioritize personal health and wellness, 26% want better lifestyle, living choices, 23% actually want to upskill mature hobbies, and 16% would actually like to increase their social confidence. So when we ask what they will buy more of online in 2023, 39% plan to purchase more home and living products, 38% family essentials like household goods, and 13% books and games, 10% workout travel gear. Now beyond the numbers, what it means is, we could just look at trends and see what is moving, what's not moving. But you see, there's a reason behind their purchasing behavior. They're trying to achieve something, right? They're trying to work out more. They're trying to live healthier. They're trying to eat better. There's a why to their purchasing behavior, and understanding that I think is powerful, especially in the retail industry. If you look at trend two, rise of younger, more purposeful buyers, and we look at the surveys that we have made as well, 7 in 10 Malaysians actually strive to make smarter purchasing decisions through insightful content such as product warranty, live demos, unboxing videos, to ensure that the products they love, they want to buy, is actually worth the value, right? So another thing that we have also realized, just adding on to this, is that consumers always want to feel smart, right? There's the old adage of you just put a price there, or you put a price and slash it, and people are just like the slash, right? So, but when people are getting buyers are getting a lot more, I think, sophisticated. It doesn't work that way anymore, where you just like raise the price and just lower it back and say that, hey, discount, right? So it doesn't really work anymore because of basically internet. People can survey, they can look at this price was, they can even see the price trend. They can see that your price has been like this, you raise it and bring it back down. That's not a real discount. So buyers are sophisticated. They share online. They share knowledges. So the gimmicky kind of stuff doesn't really work anymore. You have to actually be a lot more transparent with your users. So, of the young buyers, one more thing to highlight as well, interestingly, we have 29% who choose to support local businesses and shop via Shop Malaysia on Shopee, right? I think this is great, and I think it's actually more than that, right? The survey is the survey. But if you look at the numbers on our platform, a huge majority of our sales is actually from local sellers. Even if it's the same product, even if it's slightly cheaper if you're buying from cross-border sellers, there's a strong preference of buyers to buy locally, and we see in other countries as well. And I think that's an important thing to note. And ultimately, commerce, right, whether it's offline or going to online, right, the how close you relate between the sellers and the buyers is still extremely important. And there's a reason why you feel a much stronger peace of mind if you buy from local sellers. You chat with the person, same culture, anything, but just talk to the person. You know that person is in the country, right? And just quickly on trend 3, right? The adoption of digital services in rural communities. So if you look at rural communities, actually the growth of digital adoption is increasing very quickly, right? And in line with the growth of infrastructure availability there as well. And we ask them how interested they are, we just ask all buyers actually how interested they are to buy locally made goods from Borneo sellers particularly. Actually 50% of them do support local businesses in Borneo, right, to improve the living standards of Borneo sellers. So in general, right, beyond the numbers, in general, I think as Malaysians, we do have a sense of, if we could help our local communities, we should, right? Including our brothers and sisters in Sabah Sarawak, right? And with the growth of the coverage of mobile internet, for example, proliferation of smartphone, all that gets a lot easier. All that gets a lot easier because the barrier of entry to the digital economy is significantly lesser than, say, a physical retail economy, right? So when we talk about value-based shopping or value-based marketing, there are many types of values as well, right? And I find it helpful to just hone in on a few categories, right? And if we look at some of the keyword searches that Malaysians are looking for, they search on Shopee, it tells us something as well, right? There are people who look at, in terms of what's important for them from a user experience point of view. They search things like trusted, certified, guaranteed, top quality. They look for preferred seller, more sellers. What they're looking for is peace of mind. What they're looking for, peace of mind, a trusted experience, a good experience, end-to-end when they buy online. There are also people who search for local made, as I said, right? Specifically looking for made in Malaysia. In fact, if you search on Shopee, search still remains one of the biggest source of traffic for us. Search within the app, that means they come in with an intent. And there's a filter there. And there's a filter for local sellers, and that remains one of the most highly used buttons. That people search for something and then they just filter for local sellers. That remains a very strong search criteria. And then it'll come back quickly to just some of the topics that was mentioned on ESG. There are actually a lot of searches for eco-friendly products and then searches for charity organizations. So we understand as a platform, we can go beyond commerce as well because of the reach of the users that we do have. So we do partnerships with a lot of charitable organizations, and especially during emergency times. For example, the recent Johor flood, because we know that we can reach out to the users quickly. So we work with the government in 2 ways, right? We use our logistics arm, Shopee Express, deliver essential to them very quickly. And then because most of the people there, they are Shopee users as well. And we work with the ministries, we got their details, and we credited Shopee vouchers to them as well, so they can buy back essentials, right? Because we got quick feedback. We said, oh, give us rice, etc. Should also all good. But then, my house was flooded. I need some small appliances. I just need to get it to start again. Everything's available on Shopee and then gets delivered in 3 days. It's much easier to just give me a vouchers. And then we did that within a week. So there's a social responsibility to a platform like us that we are able to connect with users, essentially in all states, right? All states very quickly, and see how we can use that machinery that we have built to also improve lives beyond the day-to-day commerce that we've talked about. For last year, there's actually been 1.6 million searches per month for value-based keywords on Shopee's marketplace, and we are a marketplace across all categories, right? FMCG, electronics, lifestyle, fashion, and you see these keywords appearing across as well. So to put that into perspective, that's 60,000 searches each business day for value-based keywords whenever Malaysians shop online every day. So how are marketplace brands and sellers capitalizing on this, right? So in the last 3 years, actually more than 50% of value-based marketing by sellers focus specifically on certified, authentic, genuine, trusted products delivered on user experience. And there's a reason for that, right? I mean, if you think about it, if you go online shopping, a lot of people think it's price, right? But actually the first thing is trust. If you can't establish the trust for online shopping, then it's just never gonna work. So number one is actually trust, and then it goes down to assortment, pricing, and all that. The reliability is key, right? And then 30% focus on listings that target Malaysian made or handcrafted goods, and then remaining sellers, try to be more purposeful in their goods and services in terms of how they create social impact. Right? Okay. So I've been told that I'm running a bit of time as well, so I'm not going to go through in every single detail. Right? But yeah, I've mentioned all the categories. If we just go to the next slide. And we have talked about hyperlocalization in a way, right? But maybe I'll just add on a bit more flavor. What does it mean? Hyperlocalization essentially is that you have to be in the market for the market, right? You can't run a market from 1,000 miles away. And there's a lot of engagement points that you do with your buyers, and you actually need to, as a marketplace, educate our sellers on what to do. For example, live shopping we see is growing. So it's a capability that you want to build. So it's not just the technology, there's the technology, but it's a whole ecosystem. You need to build the capability of the sellers or the KOLs to do that selling as well, and how they can connect with the buyers, right? And for that to actually grow, because it's coming, it's a trend that's coming. You either capitalize it or someone else will, right? And then on operational capability, I'll just touch on that because I haven't talked about that. That's essentially the infrastructure that we built. Right, comes to the warehouses, logistics, cabinet arms that we do have. And why that's important is because it reduces unit economics, right? It reduces unit economics on the scale that it can benefit everyone. Because if you are not at a certain scale for online business, and that's why I think platforms comes into place, you reduce the cost overall. You reduce the cost overall, and I think the economies of scale works in large franchises like for my team as well, right? Once you have that scale, you can play with a lot of unit economics, right? And you can have a lot more flexibility in how you run your business. Yeah. So just a small quick case study here that is very interesting, I think, right? So we had this partnership with Infra actually, right? Where you use on-platform ads on Shopee, and it's actually managed to gain a 33 times ROAS on the ad spend and a GMV uplift of more than 22x. right? And it goes across the different ad types that we have on Shopee. But essentially, it is catering to a search intent that the buyers already have on our platform, but trying to divert that to the brand, and then the brand make sure that their offering matches what they are looking for, and then that drives the conversion, right? So the ads that they have invested in drove traffic in the correct way, and then the product that they have placed for it drive conversion to drive the kind of incremental growth that is incredible during the campaign that they have with us. Go to the next slide. Okay, so I believe this is my last slide. So basically, without looking at my script, maybe I'll just quickly summarize. We are very excited for the future of e-commerce, I'll put it this way. And I think there will be a lot of discussions after this as well in terms of how integration with offline works. And I get a lot of questions that, are we worried in terms of our competition with offline and how does it work? The answer is no, we are excited about it because of, it's an omni-channel thing. There's a multiple touch point. If you look at buyer journey, there's usually multiple touch points before they make the purchasing decision, right? We are predominantly an e-commerce platform, but more importantly, we are a commerce platform. And where it makes sense for user experience, for integration with offline, we are very excited to be at the forefront of it. So for this reason, we engage very closely with our sellers because, as I said, there's a lot of education to our sellers as well. So we do have a seller summit that is coming up. Just want to quickly mention this one. And we do this every year as part of education for our sellers. Part of getting our sellers community together so they can learn from each other, as part of enabling event so that everyone can upskill their digital selling journey with us as well. Right. So with that, I'll conclude and happy to catch up with everyone after the session. Thank you very much.